Hi-ho, Lions fans. Welcome to the Detroit Lions podcast. This is episode 363. Oh, my aching assets. This is the official Detroit Lions podcast for Reddit. I am your dashing host, and with me is the most gorgeous man in Western Michigan, Jeff the Riz Risden, my co-host. How you doing, brother?
It is good to be with you, Chris. It's a fun time to be a Lions fan. I'm sorry, I can't do it.
It's a familiar time. It's a familiar time.
It's time to be a Lions fan.
Oh my goodness! All right, it's a familiar time for Lions fans. We'll talk about it. Although this one, the layer dip this time has a couple different layers than we're used to, and I think there's things that are worth talking about that are a little different. Maybe
I agree. We're in a different spot than in recent years where it hasn't gone well. We really are, and that's worth talking about and worth having fun with, honestly.
If there's a way to figure out how things can't go well, we'll find a new one and a better one every single time. All right, we got a Bears game to review. We will talk about injuries, and this will be a pretty significant talk here because there's a couple angles on it we want to cover. Also, we've got a little bit of way too early draft talk. The initial results are in, as we just said, hey, let's put this topic up there. Riz and I disagree. That should be fun to talk about. We also want to talk about St. Jude. It is kicked off with a bang. We've got a video already of somebody. We've got some great ideas, and we want your help there. You guys can do some really fun stuff. And we can try to make the Lions season a little bit more fun because it doesn't look like it's going to be a huge riot so far. We got to look ahead to Minnesota, a trip around the division, and a whole lot more. We got a great show lined up, like Tony the Tiger would say. Riz, you ready to go, man?
Oh, let's do it.
Let's kick this off and break it down.
All right. Did you like my Western Michigan reference, Tony the Tiger?
That's very good. They're actually on strike right now. Actually, no, that's Kellogg's. That's not Post. So yeah. Fun times in West Michigan right now. Let me tell you.
The Tiger works, my friend. The Tiger works.
The Tiger does. The Tiger always works.
Captain Crunch, I'm not so sure about him. He's maybe on mutiny.
I don't like guys that wear sailor hats indoors. That's a weird look.
Well, that might end our romantic relationship. But anyway, let's keep going. We want to talk a little, well, we don't want to, but I think it's appropriate that we talk a little bit about the Bears game. I'm going to start it off. You know, I like to find the good stuff, right? And I'll start there. It's not unrealistic. But this is a game we could have won. We could have won this game. We were in the position to win this game.
Like you're talking going into the game, right?
I'm talking during the game.
No, I mean, during the game, it was over after the first two drives of the game, in my opinion.
If you don't have a shotgun snap intercepted, it's a different game. If you can move the ball from the 3-yard line, it's a different game. You could have won. You were in position throughout that game to win it, but they could not execute.
That snap where Frank Ragnow, of all people, screws up, that's a sign from the Roman god of football, Testicles, that it's just not your day.
Testicles has dropped. I gotta say, the thing that's not the first time it's happened. And why are Ragnow and Goff not on the same page there by now already? That is something that's a little bit alarming, actually. That should not happen. I don't know that it's Ragnow's fault. I'm with you. If it is, it is. If it's Goff's, it's Goff's. But they should be on point together. This should not be. This is, I said it in the Sunday show. This is table stakes. Snapping the ball, the exchange between the center and the quarterback is table stakes. This should not be. It's
really not that hard. That's a lack of communication. Those are things that you just can't have happen. That's now I'm saying Rat's lack of communication in my head. And that's like Stephen Pearcy forgetting the words to Round and Round as they're doing it in a concert for the second time because they only have so many good songs. That can't happen.
Didn't they? They didn't come on Feel the Noise, though, didn't they?
No, that was Quiet Riot.
Oh, yeah, Quiet Riot. The singer's hair looked the same. Okay. So
yes, it did. God, rest in peace, Kevin DeBrow. Hey, also, we are doing this on the first anniversary of the passing of Eddie Van Halen. And any and all Van Halen references or chat in the chat. If you're doing that, please recognize. I'm not the world's biggest Van Halen fan, but damn, they were great. They put on a great show, and Eddie was one of a kind. So they were rest in heaven.
Great summer music. I'll tell you, I had this is back when I worked in radio. Monsters of Rock tour came to the Silver Dome. 7-hour show, 9-hour show, 7 bands. I had backstage passes. I met Van Halen there. Ted Nugent came back with Van Halen. They performed together. They did Rock and Roll by Zeppelin there. It was a great show. Eddie was absolutely awesome. Sammy Hagar was really awesome dudes. They were some really, really cool cats. And just for Van Halen, not one of my favorite bands, but a great party band and a great summer band, especially in the late '80s. Man, if they were on, you were having a good time. It's pretty great.
I'm the same way with that, and we need that sort of uplifting music right now. There's only so much Lamb of God I can listen to get through my sins.
Rip EVH, yeah. All right, let's get going. Let's see. Waxel's he's thrown back to Captain Crunch for us. He earned that hat. I would hope you would show him the proper respect that Captain Crunch has earned. So there you go. Sit down, Riz. All right. I still believe that this is a game the team could have won and had the talent to win, but they just squandered it like so many things and just bumbled it away. Absolutely bumbled it away between coaching, playing, and so on. But this is a game that they could have, and it makes it even worse, I think, that they lost this game on top of all the other things. But
it was sloppy. It was not a well coached game from a Detroit standpoint. It was not a well executed game from a Detroit standpoint. It was bad football. This was like they're 0-4, but like in the other three games, like we've talked about it, we felt it. Like they're so close. Like they're doing the right things. They just don't have enough talent to get over the hump. Last week they didn't play like that, and that was frustrating. And that was sort of
that shit.
Yeah, it was deflating, honestly. It was.
Where's the bullshit?
There's my guy. I love that guy. It was one of those where, and even though they did give you a little bit of hope going towards the end, I never had any confidence that they were going to come back and do it. So I didn't get that feeling like you did. Like I started, so I have to write post-game things. And we try to have those done as quick as humanly possible afterwards. And we have scrapped so many drafts this year because, oh my God, they're coming back or they're losing it late, those sort of things. So you can't really write ahead. So I wrote ahead in this one, and it wound up I was able to use it. And so that was about the only redeeming quality that game had, was that I started writing at halftime that, oh, this was a bad loss. Dan Campbell did not have a good game. Jared Goff had a rotten game. My theme was our good players didn't play well. Jared Goff didn't play well. DeAndre Swift had a rotten game. The box score is probably better than he actually played. He was awful. Yeah. You had a bad game from Penei Sewell. It turns out he might be hurt, might not be back for a while. That would explain some things. The Frank Ragnow doing the snap thing before he got hurt and left the game. Your best players, Hawkinson didn't have a particularly good game. When you're where the Lions are, your good players imperative. They have to be at their best for you to have a chance to win, and they weren't. None of them were Sunday, and that other than Jamal Williams, who I thought played great. Yeah. Some other guys like Khalif Raymond played the best game of his career. I think Quintez Cephas had one of the best games of his career. I actually thought Tracy Walker played pretty well at safety, and that was somewhat encouraging. The fact that he started to show a little bit of what he did a couple of years ago when we all thought he was still good, or at least I thought he was still good. So, there were signs of encouragement, but you can't win when your best players, specifically at this level of talent, you just can't win when they're not at their A game, and none of them had their A game.
I want to kind of think about this in a way. We started the season saying, look, there's not a lot of wins coming out of this team. They played three teams that are absolutely in the conversation as potentially being in the Super Bowl. The first four teams actually were in the playoffs last year.
They were.
But we won't even talk about why the Bears were there. We'll just leave that as it. They took 3 steps forward, I think, in the first 3 games. They gave, for at least parts of those games, they gave very good teams a run for their money. They did things that nobody expected them to be able to do. And they looked like, okay, they haven't been good enough to beat these really, really good teams. But if they play at this level against a team like Chicago, I walked in expecting a win. This team had played good enough to beat Chicago. And then so you saw a bad team play really good for 3 games. And then you see a bad team play really, really badly in game 4. And that just takes the wind out of the sails. It's going to be, this is going to be on the coaches. This is going to be on the players. This is going to tell you the character of this team this next game. And we'll talk about it a little bit in a little bit here. But how do they recover? It's going to be crucial this week. I don't know that they win. right? But how do they recover and save some face, save some show some ability and stop the bumbling and give themselves an opportunity to at least be in the game and not humiliated from top to bottom and left to right of that roster. That's what this Minnesota game is about. I mean, a win, sure, that'd be awesome, right? Minnesota's vulnerable. It could be a tough game for Minnesota. I mean, I could see it going. The Lions have a chance to win. I mean, it's not 0, right? But this is a game that the Lions
it's pretty low.
The Lions have to come back with some sense of pride and have to show that they're an NFL quality team, because they did not show that.
We want to see that. We want to see the team that we saw the first 3 weeks, because that team can compete with Minnesota. And if they catch a couple of breaks, they get a lucky bounce. Kirk Cousins mishandles a snap, and that happens.
Yep.
The potential is there. Some of the things that the Lions do, the Lions pass rush is actually doing okay. It's not great. It's not where it needs to be. But they are, I want to say they're 7th in sack rate in terms of percentage of sacks on dropbacks. I think they're at like 8.2%. Vikings are 4th. They're really good. They've picked that up. But they have the ability to impact the pass rush, the opposing offense with a pass rush. They didn't do that very well against Chicago, and that was frustrating because again, you watched what happened to Chicago the week before, and they were completely clueless on offense, and their offensive line looked dreadful. And the Lions, I will give the Bears some credit for adjusting. I think they did do some things to help Justin Fields out, but I don't think the Lions attacked well enough, especially given how awful the coverage was on the outside. Like you've got to do something. And we talked about this last week, Chris. You got to do something to establish your identity. Yeah. And to me, they got away from the aggressiveness, the Aaron Glenn, attacking. Let's make the quarterback wonder what's happening. Let's put some pressure on him. Let's make him make decisions. Let's attack this wobbly rookie quarterback. Let's get him off balance. Let's make him see things that aren't necessarily there. And they didn't do that. And that's, again, it wasn't a good game for the coaching staff. I don't think Dan Campbell had a good game. I don't think Aaron Glenn had a good game. I don't really think Anthony Lynn had a very good game either. That's going to happen, though. And to your point, we got to roll forward. And they can't afford to have 2 bad games in a row, because that's when people start wondering. They're like, oh, crap, did we make a mistake here? I know some people are already making that. You're premature on that. Now, if they prove incompetent 2 weeks in a row, then you start worrying about that. So that's where I'm at with this team. I'm legitimately not worried about wins and losses the rest of the season. I don't want to go winless. I hate that. I've covered 2 winless teams. I don't ever want to go through that again. And I don't think this team goes winless. I do think that there are a couple of wins on the schedule somewhere. I don't think that this Sunday is one of them. Spoiler alert. But I want to see them at least compete. Like, the team that we watched against Green Bay, against San Francisco, against Baltimore was fun and interesting and building towards something. And I think they got away from that in Chicago. And I want to see that team come back in Minnesota.
I agree with you 100%. Chicago was a get-right game for both Chicago and Detroit. And Detroit did not get right. Justin Fields, we may have kicked off his career like we did Matt Ryan's, like we did Matt Flynn. Oh, Matt Flynn. I know Hattori Hanzo is here, and he's always been the one asking, are we going to see that right up? We're almost getting to St. Jude again.
That should happen. I can't do it Saturday. I'm going to the Grand Valley Ferris State game, so that sort of shoots that down. That can possibly happen in the near future. Okay. Especially if the Lions continue on the arc they are, and y'all, I'm the universal y'all here. If it doesn't apply to you, that's great. Thank you. But in general, Lions fans, I know this cycle because I've been through it before. We get to the point now where all the guys who had any hope are tuning out, and they don't consume any Lions content for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then they'll come back later in the year. And we just hit that this week. My traffic numbers show it on Lions Wire. I know I talked to a couple of other Lions media people. They're like, yeah, we're not getting it either. So y'all, if you're out there, I get it. Trust me, I get it. This is the 5th radio or podcast appearance I've done on the Lions this week. It's also the last, mercifully. it's difficult because it's so just disheartening where we are. And the fact that we thought we were somewhere else and climbing those stairs, and now the stairs have turned into the old Tom and Jerry thing where he's sliding down because the escalator went flat and turned the other way. That's what Sunday felt like to me.
It's also the best one you did all week, right, Riz?
Absolutely.
Okay, just got checked that. All right, yeah, no, and it does. It feels like that. I think it feels like that to everybody. You, me, the fans, everybody. This stuff's gone flat. I've talked about how many, and I think this week, the Bears game or the Vikings game is going to be the 60th post-game show after a loss, man. And you know how hard? I mean, we call it a therapy session. I am now in therapy myself. The therapist needs therapy. It's you gotta understand
tough,
how hard it is to flip on the mic again
it's tough
and again.
People have this illusion that like, oh, it's great to have a losing team because there's like, no, it's not. It really isn't. Trust me, I've covered enough bad teams. That's why I relish when teams are good that I cover. That's why I love those Texans teams. That's why I like the Browns now. Savvy people will notice I spent more time on the Browns this week than I have in a long time. That's not by accident, folks. They're fun. They're winning. Things are different. The pulse is different. It's a drag to cover a team like again. The first 3 weeks with the Lions, I was feeling pretty good about the team. I felt good about the direction and the path and everything. And Sunday just sucked the life out of that, man. Yeah. We need to get back to that. And I'm honestly, I am fairly confident that again, I don't think we're going to win. I do expect a better team. Now, with all the injuries, and we're going to talk about the injuries, it makes it really tough. But again, there's ways that they can show that they're dialed in and engaged that will keep me interested and entertained, and that's really all I want at this point now.
Let's get into those injuries. I think we've heard enough this week so far from everywhere and everybody that we listened to about the Bears game. It's frustrating. It's over. We'll just move on and go to the next thing. Let's hit the Diamond CBD injury report, guys. Breaking news: there is a replacement for Delta 8 out there. You couldn't get Delta 8 in Michigan. You couldn't get it in New York. Well, you can get the replacement now. There is new stuff out there. Let me make sure I get this right because I want to make sure I cover you guys with all the right stuff. Hold on, give me 1 second. It's a great line. Go to cbd.detroitlionspodcast.com and check out the Delta 8 alternative. What do they call this? Oh man, it's got like a technical name. It's right here. It's available in all 50 states. It's a Delta 8 Active CBD, they're calling it. Active CBD.
Active, okay.
Active CBD. And it is just like the fun-loving Delta 8 that you liked before and legal in all 50 states. This is like the old cat and mouse game, the old pirates and software makers game. Every time they come up with a new way to stop it, they find a new way to crack it. It's just like that. They've now
It's like a new way to piss off Lars Ulrich by downloading Metallica from a different site.
Exactly. It's exactly it. And then calling it Lars Ulrich's piratesite.com. It's literally, and the government was so slow that these guys can evidently research moves faster. So the Active CBD, they got the gummies, they got the whole thing. cbd.detroitlionspodcast.com, cbd.detroitlionspodcast.com. It's a great way to enjoy this podcast. Thank you, Crappy Channel. Or to do the things you were going to do, hanging out anyway. I'm not sure on the Active 8. I'm assuming that you're not going to pass a drug test, just like you wouldn't with the Delta 8. But Active CBD, check it out, cbd.detroitlionspodcast.com. It is back on the menu, folks. Let's get with it. All right. Let's talk about injuries. Injuries are a really, really interesting conversation. I want to just start. I'm a businessman, Riz. You know.
Yes, you are. You are. You have your finger in many different business pots.
Yeah. I want to start with the numbers behind injured reserve and out. Okay. And I want to, you talk about, hey, injuries are top loaded. Oh, there's a lot of names, but let's just put the numbers to it. The salary cap is $180 million. Is that it? It's about.
No, it's like 2 something.
Is it right now? Okay.
Yeah.
I forgot. I thought COVID messed with it. We'll just say it's 200.
It's lower than it was going to be. I want to say it was okay. Well, let me pull it up here.
You look it up. I'm
197.
So I wasn't too
0.7.
Okay. Then I really do want to do this number really quick because I think it's going to be important to really understand what the impact is.
So while you're mathematizing, I'll just update everybody on where they're at. They put Frank Ragnow on IR today with his toe injury. It is at least 3, and based on what we heard from Dan Campbell and from what was said after that, it's probably closer to 6 than 3. So don't expect him back possibly before Thanksgiving, which is crazy enough, is only like 6 or 7 weeks away. I actually messed up saying I still thought it was September. So he's on IR. Taylor Decker remains on IR. He will not play this week. Tyrell Williams still on IR with a concussion that he suffered in week 1. It's week 5. When you're missing that much time with a concussion, that's scary.
Serious, yeah.
So that's not good. Jeff Okuda obviously out. Romeo Okwara, torn Achilles, out for the season. Given the 11-month timetable on recovering before you're even back to practice, he might miss the beginning of next season, which is really not good.
And the long-term recovery rate. I mean, there's a few people who have gotten back, but getting back to form,
that's tough, man. And it is something that you don't want to rush back from.
Right.
You see guys like Terrell Suggs, like he came back and was heroic and he got lauded for it, but his game went in the toilet because he came back too fast.
Yep.
So you really got to be careful about that. So again, losing Ragnow and Okwara in the same week, that's your best pass rusher. I mean, Trey Flowers is out. It doesn't look like he's going to play this week. He hasn't been ruled out yet, obviously, but it doesn't sound good from what I've heard. Yep. I mean, you're without your 2 starting outside linebackers. You're without your right tackle, or your left tackle and Taylor Decker. You're without your center and Frank Ragnow. They're all on IR. Well, Flowers isn't on IR, and now Penei Sewell's injured, questionable at best. Read between lines there, if you will.
So I've got Sewell in the number, because I don't think he's playing. But for guys that are expected to be out this week or are on IR, the number is $57.4 million of salary, of this year's salary, that is tied up not playing. So if you put that against the cap, you're talking over 29% of our total cap is wrapped up with guys who aren't even playing. A third of your money is just wiped off. Your ability to spend and buy talent is gone to injury.
Oh my God.
Think about that. What team, and I'm just straight up, even if we were, I don't care if we're the Packers, I don't care if we're Tampa, you pick any team and take 30%, the top 30% earners, or 30% broken down the same way on their team, and you remove that from that team. How are they going to fare? Right? And then you take a bottom 10, bottom 5 roster in the NFL, and you trip out 30% of the pay in players. It's incredible. There's if you just look at that alone, there's no expectation to win another game. If it stays like that, there's literally no how do you beat another team in the NFL if a third of the money of your cap is wrapped up in guys that don't play? How do you
That's insane. I don't know what you do with that.
How does dead cap fit into that? Does that add to that? Does that put us over 50% of our cap is missing in the ability to field a team?
If who?
If we say, okay, we got 57 million gone in injured guys, our dead cap right now is what, 40 million? Are we really at
No, our dead cap is over that. It's just stand by on that. Say,
so we're $100 million that we don't have available to buy players this year. Half of our cap money is gone. We're working with less than 50% of our cap to put a team on the field. How the hell do you do that?
Dead cap. Okay, well this is aggregate. Let me just do it for 2021.
Who do you beat?
Dead cap for this year.
It's incredible. I don't know how a team expects to win a game, or how fans expect a team to win a game, where in between the dead cap, which is the Quinn legacy.
Oh my God, dead cap this year, 111.5 million.
111 and a half. You're oh my God, you're talking about 160 million. You're fielding a team. I didn't realize it was that much.
So so that's not completely accurate. They're putting everything of Jamie Collins into this year.
Got it.
And also Justin Coleman. So
So say it's 100. You say you're out 150.
Well, let's say it's 80 million, and that's probably bottom shelf for this year.
So you're talking $140 million gone, and you're trying to field a team with just about 28% of the salary cap available to your team compared to the other teams. Do you guys think maybe they need some CBD? They need CBD.DetroitLionsPodcast.com. And use coupon code Lions 55% off there. Get that to their strength and conditioning coach. Maybe he can.
They need every savings they can get because they apparently don't have a lot of money.
How are they going to sign people talking? Get Gilmore. With what? I know. We won't go there. So just think about.
Please.
Now you talk about. Okay, we're looking at a team. We've got the Quinn Trisha legacy where most of that dead cap is. I know you got Collins, but really that is the Quinn Trisha legacy, right? And then you turn around and you add the injury cost. There's no way you're going to compete in the NFL. I mean, if you see just those numbers, Riz, you say this team isn't going to win another game.
Yeah.
How do you beat a team that's got 80% of the cap when you've got 30% available?
And of that, almost 20 million is going to Jared Goff, who's not a very good quarterback. I mean, they're in a bad spot, man. If ever you had any doubt that this team was in a rebuild, what we just talked about is the piss in your Kool-Aid that it's over this year. Like, this is all about building for next year. You're figuring out which one of these guys is worth the investment to keep on the payroll in 2022 and possibly beyond. That's all the rest of this season is about. You hopefully get a win or 2 or 3. That would be great. That will still secure you a top 2 or 3 draft pick. Remember, the teams that you're competing with don't have the same needs that you do. So if Jacksonville picks 1, that's great. They don't need a quarterback. They don't need a tackle. They don't necessarily need a cornerback. You're looking at different things. They don't need a pass rusher. They got 2 first rounders on that. So you're looking at different needs there. So whichever way you're at, it's tough, man. It's tough to field the team. I'm looking at all these guys. They're paying Justin Coleman $12 million this year not to play. Jesse James $8.5 million not to play. I realize these figures aren't completely accurate because it's got all of their dead money on it, not factored out year to year. But Chase Daniel $3 million. I know that's all this year to not play for the team. You don't think that they could use a $3 million cornerback right now to fill in for what everybody that's hurt? I mean, when you're trotting in Daryl Worley off several streets, and we're his 4th team in 11 months. That's he's quite conceivably the best player in your entire defensive backfield. It's a rough time, man.
And let's just say people did want to sign Gilmore, right? Let's just say, look, we need a cornerback. We're in deep trouble. He's a guy that at least can be a cornerback 2 in the NFL. Maybe he can help us out in the near term. Well, you can't pay him out of this year's money. You're gonna tie yourself to a long-term expense with this guy because you don't have the money to sign anybody, and then you get to pay a premium because who's gonna come here to play this year? Right? Why would you?
Right.
Why would you? Who would
put the
here?
shoe on the other foot? Pretend you're not the Lions. Pretend you're the free agent. Pretend you're Stephon. Pretend you're Cam Newton. Do you want to go to Detroit when Pittsburgh's about to pull the plug on Ben Roethlisberger and Dwayne Haskins sure as hell ain't the answer? No. Where are you going to go? Are you going to go play for Mike Tomlin, or are you going to play for Dan Campbell, who hasn't proven that he can do anything yet? That's not a difficult decision as much as we like Dan Campbell.
And if you're the front office, do you mortgage the future for this year, or do you write this year off? And that's a thing I think that's very, very important for people to understand. Players and coaches aren't writing this year off, but the front office sure as hell is. I'm telling you right now, there is no question that the ditch that they're in financially this year, and to try to be able to build a team and put talent on this team, the worst thing you can do is pull out the backhoe and dig it deeper for next year.
Because you can carry over your cap money that you don't use this year. It's like prepaying your credit card. It gives you that much more money next year to spend when you can bring in players who will want to be here because they will see that this team did not quit on Dan Campbell, that they are building something that you want to be a part of. They're young, they're enthusiastic. There's a lot of former players on this team as coaches that you like. We're still hearing good buzz about the Lions and about what they're doing from around the league.
Terry Bradshaw said the Lions are a better team than anyone knows right now, and I don't think he's wrong. I think that they're
Randy Mueller
wrong.
did the same thing.
Yep.
The former Saints and Dolphins general manager was like, you know what? It's not working now, but I see how it's going to, and other people see that too. And we cannot lose sight of that, as much as the rest of this season is probably really going to suck.
Yeah. And so I mean, what do you do? Well, you hear, and I saw Mike Hodges earlier, they've been name dropping Jerry Jacobs a ton. Jerry Jacobs is getting more snaps, more reps than he would at any team in the NFL, possibly in his career. He has got more. This guy has just fallen into the perfect situation for his career. Yesterday when he played the Bears, he was on the field as a cornerback. Did you hear his name get called?
Not once. That was it.
The best thing that you can have happen as a rookie cornerback in the NFL is to not have your name mentioned on the broadcast. That was a great game for Jerry Jacobs out there against that team. Good news. Let's keep watching. Let's see the growth we get out of this guy. But this is the comparative advantage. We're going to go into economics for a minute, that the Detroit Lions have this year that other teams don't. Other teams are fielding their vets. They're fielding players that are, that they're getting reps and getting, whatever. What we're doing is we're building talent in the one place that other people can't and don't, because they have vets and the fixed players in those positions. Everyone gets a draft. Everyone gets a shot at free agency, but developing talent on the field, live fire reps, other teams don't get the kind of chance that the Lions are getting for the full run of UDFAs and low round draft pick talent to develop these guys into something. And if you develop them, you've now got yourself a cadre of cheap, viable talent that you can use to push your team forward and have a long-term plan for success. If none of them develop, you're going to have a crappy year anyway, right? With this,
right.
With the injuries the way they are, this is a chance. And I'm being Mr. Brightside here, but this is a chance to do something that most teams don't get an opportunity to do. And I'll say we've probably got one of the better coaching staffs to do that, in that we have people that know the game, that played the game at the very
1000% agree with that
level. So this is as shit as this feels as a fan of the team, and as crap as this year is going to be. Just know this is actually a comparative advantage over other teams. Will it play out? Time will tell.
Look at. I'll give the example because I did this a couple weeks ago. Look at what the Houston Texans are doing. Today they cut Anthony Miller, a recent second-round pick wide receiver. Now he hasn't been good, and that has to be mentioned. But they cut him because Danny Amendola is coming back. Danny Amendola, look, we love Danny.
Yeah,
he's a 37-year-old dead end slot receiver. What is he doing to help your team get better in the future? Nothing. The Texans are loaded with dudes like that. The Jaguars. I know people will hate me for saying, what is Marvin Jones doing with the Jaguars? Like how is he? I understand that maybe he's helping Trevor Lawrence develop as a quarterback, and I'll buy that. Because Marvin's awesome, and we'll do a good job at that. But if he's taking snaps away from Laviska Shenault, and are taking targets away, how is that helping them long term? Because Marvin, look, with the way his knees have been, I'm never going to say anything negative about Marvin because I love him, but he's nearing the end. He is not a player that's going to be there when that team, if they ever find a coach after what's gone on there, he's not going to be part of that when Lawrence is really good. Now maybe he'll come back and be like, you know what, those first 2 years with Marvin Jones made me a better quarterback, and I will respect that, and it wouldn't surprise me if that happens. But then they have to find the wide receivers in time to replace them. They have to find, and by that time their offensive line, like some of those guys are going to be gone by then. It's a different style. The Lions are doing something that not many teams get a chance. Like you said, not many teams get a chance to do this. Go back to the winless Cleveland Browns. There were a lot of guys on that team who, were veterans playing it out. Like Christian Kirksey was on that team. They had a lot of guys who were dead ends. And they played them because they didn't have any other alternative. They refused to go with the youth movement everywhere. This team's
no choice.
for better or for worse. And right now they don't. You're right. They don't have a choice. They're playing the kids. They're playing AJ Parker. They're playing Jerry Jacobs every snap. Bobby Price is out there every snap when he's healthy. You're seeing Matt Nelson for better or for worse. You're going to see a hell of a lot of Evan Brown in the coming weeks. You're going to see some Ryan McCollum at center probably. Yeah. And that's what you got to do when you're in the case that they are.
And I'll tell you, the difference between most of the teams that have been able to do this and the Lions is the Lions have the coaches with the experience to be able to make these guys
They have a
better.
coaching staff that emphasizes player development and teaching. And they're playing to that relative strength of their coaching staff. Now, again, we did not see that. Obviously, they got to get better at the X's and O's and the strategizing, because Sunday was not a good day for that.
No, not at all.
They'll learn from that. God willing, they'll learn from that. Let's hope. But I have seen things to like. Jerry is a better player now than he was when I saw him in the preseason.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Bobby Price is better now. Halapoulivaati Vaitai is a better lineman now than he was going into the season.
Absolutely. A shining star example of a guy who's improved year over year.
Seeing how this coaching staff embraces the teaching aspect and the player development aspect. That's something that none of the prior regimes, Caldwell, Patricia certainly, and even Jim Schwartz before him, that's not what they did. They wouldn't have been the right staffs for this team. And I think that whether Brad Holmes is doing it on purpose or stumbled into it by accident, and I don't know the answer to that question. I'd like to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I also can't. And for those who are in the Patreon Slack, you'll know what I'm talking about from my comment earlier this morning, which ruffled some feathers and probably I was in a bad mood. Sorry.
Slack is the place to be, though.
They are. It is the place to be, and I love that people clap back at me about it, and that's good, man. Because I'm not right all the time.
No, you're not. But we'll here. I'll just give you that one in the meantime.
Just remember when I am. Thank you. That's all I ask. Remember when I am right, because everybody reminds me when I'm wrong.
All right, so yeah, injuries are massive.
It's rough, man. It's rough.
The effect on the cap is gigantic. People are talking a little bit, oh yeah, well, that's a lot of money wrapped up. No, there's a boatload of money wrapped up in guys not playing, and it's part injury, it's part mismanagement. And I just have one kind of theoretical question. Can you imagine if Quinn and Patricia were still in charge this year, how much worse? You think it can't get worse, but can you imagine
they would have traded for Stephon Gilmore?
Yeah,
a second-round pick.
Yeah.
Jamie Collins would still be here.
Oh God, yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, it could be a heck of a lot worse. This is an absolute mop-up operation on what we had before, and this is the effect. This is the effect. It's both injury and it's the mismanagement of the salary cap. It's the downgrading of talent at just about every level that Bob Quinn touched, except the offensive line. This is well.
Get what you fucking deserve!
Thank you, Joker. Yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess. So
I'm gonna have to watch a Batman movie at some point in my life.
That I'm telling you, the Joker is the best of them all. It is absolutely, because it's different. It's not like a superhero movie. It's a very, very dark, moving kind of movie. It will sap you emotionally. It'll take a lot out of you. It is a really great, and I'm not a cape and tights kind of movie guy, but that one was fantastic.
I'm not at all. Fantastic. So I'm not a superhero type movie. I'm unless it's Keanu Reeves, because Keanu's great. Point Break, best movie ever made.
Ooh,
I'll fight you about that too.
No, my wife will back you up on that. She loves that movie.
Yes,
and I don't know about best ever, but I know it's a damn top shelf movie. All right, I really want to hit something that we're doing. St. Jude. We do this every year. We got something special in October and I got a video here to drop for you guys. It's a short one, but I think you're gonna love it. We're kicking off St. Jude. We're doing something a little like, remember the Ice Bucket Challenge, Riz, where people would challenge their friends to do it, then dump the ice.
Absolutely.
Ice
as you know, ALS is something that's very near and dear to me. Unfortunately, I've had to deal with that. My brother-in-law passed away while we were at the Senior Bowl together. Yeah, so yes, those types of things, I can tell you firsthand from that when you do something like this, it means a lot to the people who are dealing with it.
Yeah, 100%. We had A guy just last year on the show, a guy whose son was who had cancer. They were helped by St. Jude. His son was on my son's soccer team in California when we lived out there. They were friends. They played soccer together, the whole thing. Near and dear, very, very close. I worked with him at the company I worked with at the time. He was one of the best people I met out there. Super great family. The last group of people you'd ever wish something like that on. And of course, they had to deal with it. But it hits people you don't expect, cancer. And St. Jude is out there to help folks who need it when they need it the most. You can't imagine being in a situation where your child is sick like that. It's just got to be devastating. Hardest part.
Sick kids. That's just an absolute different level of despair and life stress.
Yep. So we have a thing going on in October leading up to our 24-hour podcast on the 5th of November to the 6th of November. Riz and I will be going 24 hours trying to raise money. But we are trying to raise money in the meantime to get started. As you can see, we've got $1,300, and the Detroit Lions podcast tradition of ending with 69 cents continues because it's always 69. You can go to stjude.org/DLP and donate.
Nice.
Anything you donate, you'll get your name on the scroll here. You'll pop up in the bottom of the screen, get your name and lights. We'll mention you and thank you. The kids will thank you. And if you want to see, give it a shot. You'll hear them right there. Thank you when you do that. But this thing, we're calling it Jamie's Pies for Kids right now. Jamie said for the month of October, every $100 we raise, he'll take a pie in the face. And an anonymous donor dropped $1,000, and then we raised the other $300.69 along the way. So he's got 13 pies coming, right? And so he's like, I'm having trouble getting this done. I'm just trying to put some things together. He's way up in Montana, but he put this video together of where things are in the pie situation, and I just wanted to share this with you really quick.
This is great,
so you can see where we are and what's going on. And again, you can do this. Just donate, shoot a video of you taking a pie, be creative, have fun with it, a pie in the face, and challenge 2 other people to take that pie and to donate. Let's have some fun on this, man. This could be cool and raise money for people that really, really need it. And you know what? You can make them Lions pies. You can do a lot of stuff with this and have a good time. It'll be worth it. We will play every single one of those videos on social media. We'll take the best and most exciting and we'll put them on the show for folks to see. But here is the first of the Pies for Kids, #Pies, number 4, kids.
Hey guys, it's Jamie from the Slack, Double J. I am just doing a check-in right now to kind of give you a heads up where we're at with the pies. Right now, we're just going to set it up where we do a challenge. So I'm going to challenge Case to do a donation and a pie, and I'm going to choose Flounder for a pie and a donation. So just God, what was that? Okay. That was so not expected. Somebody give me a towel. That's 3.
He's got 3 out of 13 in there. That's awesome.
His kids totally, for those of you who are watching, they absolutely ambushed him, and it was great. A legit surprise on his face.
Yep,
it was wonderful.
Oh man, that's good stuff. Good stuff. So have some fun with it. We want to, it's a great way to do so. Look, the Lions are pulling at our hearts, making it tough this season, but we can do something to get our hearts a little bigger, grow them 3 sizes that day, and help out some sick kids and some families in need. stjude.org/DLP. Do a no donation. We'll take every single video you got. All right. Thank you all for listening to us talk about that and help. Thank you all for helping St. Jude and help us raise money for St. Jude. Again, if you go to stjude.org/DLP, your name will be on the show when we're live, and you'll see on the scroll and the recent donations at the top. All right. Let's talk about really quick. We signed offensive lineman center, I believe, Ryan McCullum, right? He's going to be the center of the future for the Detroit Lions.
He could be.
For the near future?
Probably not. He could be the backup center of the future, perhaps. We might find out soon. We'll see. They signed him off the Houston Texans practice squad. He's undrafted rookie from Texas A&M. He is a mobile guy. He is not a road grader, that type of guy. He's much more of a finesse type player, but has some ability. Played okay in the preseason. I won't make him out to be something that's great, but he has potential to stick in the NFL for a few years. And he was in a bit, weirdly enough, The Houston Texans are god-awful, and this is a playoff. Remember, this is a team that won a playoff game with Ode Abushi as the team's best offensive lineman. Now they have, like, the strength of their team now is their offensive line. They had two offensive linemen signed off their practice squad yesterday to active rosters by other teams. The Texans, like, from 1 to 53 are worse than the Lions. Well, not injury-wise right now. But, like, if everybody was healthy on both teams and Deshaun Watson's still in limbo, the Lions roster is better than the Texans. So the fact that this guy was on a team that honestly has been fairly good at finding offensive linemen and up the wazoo. I mean, the guy that the Browns side for them, Hjalte Froholt, was he's from Denmark. Played at Arkansas. But
that's a heck of a place to be hiding an offensive lineman. You'd think you'd know he was up there.
Exactly, I know, right? My wazoo is not that big; it cannot fit a 6'5", 310-pound man up there.
You couldn't even get a kazoo up your wazoo.
Yeah, so I mean, he's worth a try. One of the things that it indicates to me is that the Logan Stenberg at center experiment is done. Yeah. Thank God. He is a backup guard. I wonder how much time he's going to get, because he is somebody who did show something in the preseason, specifically in the Colts and Steelers games. I thought he played pretty darn well, better than I expected him to. Is that something where they wrote? God, I can't believe I'm bringing this up in a positive light. Could they bring back the guard rotation to get him some reps to see who fits best where? Now, one of the solutions, and this, I like this solution. This is quite frankly my favorite solution. If Penei Sewell can't play Sunday, and I swear to God, I do not know if he can play or not, but if he can't, my thing, I would move Matt Nelson to left tackle. I would move Halapula Vadi Vaitai to your right tackle. I would put Logan Stenberg in at right guard. That's how I would fix it. And see what Stenberg can do. Look, Nelson is your swing tackle. Can he play on the left side serviceably? As I've gone back and forth with a lot of people today, I wish they would have put Nelson at left tackle when Decker went down and left Sewell at right tackle. Then we wouldn't be having so many discussions about all that crap. Because Sewell is your right tackle of the future, period. End of discussion. Stop. He's your right tackle. And moving him to left tackle has only, I'm going to use this, and I'm going to be very careful, it has retarded his development. Using that word in the literal sense of the word, because they have messed with him so much. And that's on the coaching staff, and I'm not happy with the way the coaching staff has handled it. They should have left him as your right tackle, put Matt Nelson as your right tackle, and worked with that. Maybe played more Darren Fells on that side as a blocking tight end. He's only playing roughly 25 to 28% of your snaps. They could have managed that better, and they haven't. They've dropped that ball, and it sucks that Sewell's hurt now, because he's coming off of a bad game, and we don't know whether he was hurt, and that's why he was bad, or if he was just bad, because Robert Quinn beat him like a rented mule, and you hate to see that about a first-round pick. So that I'm hopeful that that's our offensive line Sunday. Honestly, it wouldn't. Honestly, I don't think it would kill me if Sewell doesn't play, just so he can take a breath and be like, oh,
what the F is going on in this league?
Right. and by that point, there's a chance that Taylor Decker is back. Then you put Taylor Decker back at left tackle. You have Penei Sewell back at right tackle. Whoever the heck they're playing in week 6, then they the schedule blurs for me. I'm sorry. They can go out and I think it's Cincinnati. Isn't it? Cincinnati at home. That's a tough matchup, because Cincinnati can throw the ball and we can't defend the pass. I don't know, but at least you could get something and get your offensive line right and get your offense right. Now it's going to be different without Ragnow there, but look, Evan Brown, God bless him. I thought he played okay against Chicago. He's clearly not Ragnow, but I've seen worse. I saw Logan Stenberg play center. Maybe Ryan McCollum can get some reps there. I don't know. It's I don't know. That's my little O-line piece.
I just really quick, as we look ahead, after the Bengals, we have the Rams. That's going to be an interesting week, because that week before the Rams, I'm in Vegas, destroying myself. I swore I wasn't going to drink between now and then here I am. I need something to get through tonight.
Truly, madly, deeply.
Yeah. And then after Vegas, I'm going to LA for the game. Sandman's going to be there. We've got a whole boatload. Tori Hanzo is going to be there.
I want to go.
Colin's going to be there. We got a lot of people. We want to get everyone together. We want to get a big group together for tailgating. Let's use the Reddit. If someone wants to start a thread in our Detroit Lions and kind of put together where we should get together and how to make that happen, I think I need a local. I haven't been there since SoFi has been completed. I have no idea really what to do. I'm saying in Culver City, so it won't be far or whatever to get there. But let's get that going. If someone starts a thread, let's get that LA meetup going so we can get a good, solid, fat tailgate going. Because look, we're going to see Matthew Stafford win, or we're going to see the Lions win. Either way, we can take something, I guess, away from that game and try to pack our hearts in a happy spot. But the more damage we do to our livers on the way to getting there is just probably the best way to do it. So I know a lot of folks are setting up for that game. Let's put something together. Let's get a group of people together to tailgate and have some fun. All right. Here's something, Riz. I know we kind of I mentioned the topic beforehand, the bullet point, and you said okay, and you kind of mentioned where you're at on it. I said, oh well, I think differently than that, and then we said, okay, let's stop. Let's have the conversation organically. Okay. I thought there was a pretty interesting article that was posted. It's from DraftWire from Lyle. What's his last name?
Luke Easterly.
Luke Easterly. Why am I calling him Lyle? Luke Easterly. Thank you. Luke Easterly from DraftWire. We had him on earlier. He was great guest. Luke's
a very good guest.
Really enjoyed talking to him, but had an article from DraftWire, and I believe it was his. Teams picked a bad year to need a top quarterback prospect. You also have another article on there that talks about the Lions are currently second overall in the draft order behind the
we're number two. We're number two.
The highly effective Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I'm just going to start the conversation, right? Jared Goff is with us next year. He's very, very expensive. The crop of quarterbacks next year are not generally considered good across the board. And number 3, look what Trevor Lawrence has done for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he's a pretty good quarterback. I'm telling you, especially after the loss of Hand and Okudah, who I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm 100% wrong. I don't think we're going to see them at the level that we saw them before. I think they're going to have mediocre remainders of their careers, and we're going to lose out on 2 key positions that we actually had players in position that could do a good job, and now we have 2 more holes in our roster. I think if you get yourself a quarterback, at best, you're going to have one that has a strong mind and can weather 2 more years of rebuilding after he's there, and the whole line of bullshit that's going to come from fans about the whole idea, he's got to play now, sit Goff, you can't let him sit there, and then watch him get destroyed.
That's going to happen.
You're going to watch a good, potentially, if you got a good quarterback, you're going to watch him get ruined. You've seen you've seen, like, Tim Shovelday is my favorite example of what we do.
Wow.
Yeah, right?
Good pull.
What we do to players in key positions in Detroit.
No.
You need, look, and people say, oh, well, they got Jared Goff in LA and built the team around him. Right. We've got Jared Goff in Detroit. Let's build the team around him and then find our Matthew Stafford. We already got Matthew Stafford and couldn't build crap for a team. You're seeing it with Trevor
better
Lawrence.
than both of them.
Right. And I think, as historically poor as this quarterback class is for this next year, that you have a better shot with the following year, and not knowing the talent really and not seeing how it's grown, you probably have a better shot, and you also have 2 first-round picks again, and you're likely not going to fill all the amazing gaps that are on your roster next year. You're going to pick very high. You're going to be able to have your choice of quarterback in the next year, and hopefully you'll have built enough in 2022 that when you hit 2023, you can spend that capital and get yourself a quarterback. You can off Goff's contract, and you can build the rest of the capital to have a team that's actually going to compete. That's my argument.
I would disagree that this quarterback class is bad. I think the people that most people expected to be at the top of this quarterback class have not been great. Specifically Spencer Rattler, doesn't look like he belongs in the NFL. And please, please, please stay in school, Spencer. You need it. I'm telling you that as stay in school, kids. Sam Howell from North Carolina has not had a great year. I will say he's not nearly as bad as some people have made him out to be. Remember, this is a guy that lost, I want to say, 9 starters around him on North Carolina's offense, 8 or 9. So he's working with new people. I think he's showing progress. there are quarterbacks in this draft that I like. I like Matt Corral from Ole Miss. I like Kenny Pickett from Pittsburgh. I like, to some extent, Malik Willis from Liberty, although he is not as far along as what Trey Lance is. So for all the people who dogged Trey Lance for his level of competition and relative inexperience, he's well ahead of where Malik Willis is in terms of NFL readiness as a passer. Now, we're going to see that this weekend because he's going to wind up getting his first start for San Francisco, and we'll see how that goes. But in terms of what North Dakota State asked him to do versus what Liberty asks Malik Willis to do, it's like the difference between playing checkers and Stratego. It's completely different. And you want the guy that's good at Stratego and not the guy who's like shoving checkers up his nose when he gets kinged. Your little brother did that, right, Chris? Because mine did.
My nostrils are normal size. I'll just leave it at that.
So I don't think it's a terrible year. Like, remember the year Patrick Mahomes came out? Like, oh, this quarterback class is awful. Patrick Mahomes was in it.
Yeah.
You one of the things that I like about Matt Corral, and it's also true of Kenny Pickett, but not quite to the extent. This was a guy who had obvious talent. This was a guy who was a big, like, Manning camp, and all that, like, prized dude. But he has some holes in his game. And everything I've seen, and I've watched all of their games but one this year, and that includes the Alabama game, where he did okay, relatively speaking. He's gotten better at everything that he wasn't good at. All the things that, like, scouts wanted to see him get better at, he's done. Give you a few examples of some guys who've done that in recent draft classes. Dak Prescott, currently one of the top leaders for MVP with Dallas. Russell Wilson did that when he went from North Carolina State to Wisconsin. Joe Burrow did that at LSU. Look, if you go back to 2019, at this point, Joe Burrow still wasn't in the first round of mock drafts at that point.
That's right.
Look what he's doing now, and we're going to see it up close in a couple weeks. That guy's awesome. I mean,
yeah. Yeah. He is really balled out. I love what I see there. But again, do you think Joe Burrow elevates this team this year? He's on this team this year.
Yeah, he does. He does.
He elevates this team to what?
Well, that's the thing. There's a finite. I think he doubles their win total from what Jared Goff does.
So 4?
Yeah. 2 or 4. Right. You can't double to 3. Yeah. I'm not good at math, but I know that. Because there,
and that's again, Joe Burrow with a year of experience under his belt, half a year of experience, right? And an injury recovery. But that's a whole lot of time under his belt. And these guys, I don't want to say this wrong, but I probably will. I'm not going to filter. I'm just going to say it. So if there's nuance here, it's fine, right? None of these quarterbacks, at least right now, and it is very, very early to be evaluating them. I totally understand that. But where we are right now, none of these guys are below the roof automatic kind of picks. Trevor Lawrence was that kind of guy coming out, right? He's the obvious number one. I just don't think having a fresh, new, young quarterback this year is what this team needs.
So this year,
coming into the draft, in the next draft, in 2022 draft, I think you have so many gaps and positions that you have to fill to even field an NFL caliber team that's in a ranking that goes to 32 versus 45. I think there's just so many gaps. You have to fill those before you put a poor quarterback in place. And this other side of it is you have the draft capital to do it the year after. So you could use those 2 first-round picks this year to actually get talent in your secondary, to actually get a safety, to get the talent you need to put this team into a bit of a competitive position, get them a wide receiver, get them a year of experience under their belt, bring in a quarterback surrounded by a team that has that experience that can help lift him, because that's what a new quarterback needs that first year. I don't see Trevor Lawrence lifting the Jacksonville Jaguars to anything, and he's a good quarterback. I mean, he's a very good quarterback. I don't see him elevating the team because he's got so much to learn already. You need the team to have been elevated.
He also doesn't have a coach.
Well, he's got a dancer.
Oh my God, that was quite the oil change check there. That was something. I'll say this: you cannot win without the quarterback. And I'm fairly certain that Jared Goff is not the long-term answer at quarterback. And I pray to God that Brad Holmes sees that too. If you like the quarterback, you don't not take the quarterback this coming year because you have Jared Goff or because you have the draft picks for the following year. If you see the guy that you want, you don't pass on it.
Nope.
That's my overriding concern is that
agree 100%.
That they pass on it because we have Jared Goff, he can bridge us another season. If they do that and they turn away from a guy like let's say
Someone
Willis continues to light things up, or let's say Corral really lights things up as we go forward and becomes the next Joe Burrow, and he could, and they eschew taking him because we've got the chance to get a guy next year, and we have Goff, and he's like Jared Goff isn't the reason why they're losing football games. He's certainly not the reason why they will win games, but he's not why they're losing.
Right. And so
I don't want that status to stay.
That's where we 100% agree. If your guy is there, absolutely. But don't fall in love with a guy because you have Jared Goff.
Don't force it. Don't Blake Bortles it.
Right. And this is where I think a lot of fans are. You got to get a quarterback. Like they're forcing the concept that you need to get a quarterback, and there may not be the guy there, and that's kind of where I'm at. You're not going to. If you don't find your guy, and I'm not sure that he exists for this team. Now, Don brings up a great idea. If all things stay the same, the Eagles have not one but two, but 3 picks in the top 10 in the 2022 draft. Maybe they fall in love with someone. Maybe they trade with Detroit to get their guy, and we can turn that into some capital. That would be an ideal situation, at least for me, for my strategy, because, again, right now, there's not a quarterback that I'm in love with that's my guy. And this is part of what I'm thinking about. I don't think Jared Goff is the quarterback of the future, but I want a quarterback that I know is better than him, particularly if I'm still paying him, right? Because I need to get that kind of value out of that quarterback position. I don't think that's going to happen with my rookie quarterback next year. So now I have a first-round pick, huge amount of capital, right? The guy that is supposed to play in year one, basically, when you think about what a first-round pick is, especially that high in the draft, and a guy making $20-some million a year that are both wrapped up in this one position. You might as well just go back to the old rookie pay scale at that point with how much crap you've got wrapped up there. And the rest of the team, again, is a massive gap of talent. Sorry, that's in my head.
No, and it kind of ties in with what we talked about earlier about like having the young guys now that are cheap salary and can be your cheap backups, and maybe you find a few cheap starters out of it, and that allows you some flexibility to pay that sort of extra QB tax that you're describing.
Yeah.
I just don't want I have seen firsthand the difference between not having the quarterback and having the quarterback in recent times. Going from Brock Osweiler and Tom Savage to Deshaun Watson. And not everybody liked Deshaun. Not everybody in Houston liked them taking Deshaun.
I know the massage therapists don't.
That's a very, very different animal. But he was not like when they traded for him, there were a lot of people in Houston who were like, what the hell have we done? Why are we doing this? And before everything went to hell, he was the best thing that ever happened to that franchise. I saw the difference between having a hopeless situation like Deshaun Kaiser and Brock Osweiler again, and Kevin Hogan in Cleveland, and what a guy like Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield is a marginal top 10 quarterback, more probably top 11 to 15 overall. But he's the attitude, the spirit that he brought with him, that lifted everybody else on that team. Yeah. Now they're loaded. They got a great GM, and they put together 2 or 3 really good drafts in a row, and they're reaping the benefits of that now. Getting Nick Chubb, getting Denzel Ward with their bonus picks.
Right.
That's how you get bonus picks. So to your point, I've seen. Like we'll go back to that 2017 draft where the Texans traded up for Deshaun Watson. The Browns out of that draft got Myles Garrett at number 1. They got Denzel Ward at number 4, and they got David Njoku at 22 with the pick that they got from Deshaun Watson. All 3 of those guys are really damn good football players. Yep. Two of them have been to Pro Bowls, and David Njoku is going to cash in this offseason, and I don't want it to be Detroit because I think he's going to wind up getting overpaid, but he's a really talented tight end. Like that's your thesis right there, is what the Browns are right now. And then they added the quarterback the next year, and they also happen to add the best running back in football with the ball in his hand, and Nick Chubb, and a couple other pieces that coming year. They traded for Jarvis Landry. They brought in Odell Beckham. They had the money and flexibility to do that with their cap because they didn't commit to things that you're just talking about. So I will tell you that your way works because I'm watching it happen in Cleveland.
You know what? Really,
but I'm also impatient.
Yeah,
and like if I want, because I know that if you don't have the quarterback, nothing else matters. You cannot win without the quarterback. We do not have the quarterback now. We, quite frankly, didn't have it in Stafford, as good as he was. Did he ever help us win a playoff? Obviously, you can go, we've talked miles and years of videotape on that, and I won't discuss it. But the bottom line is the Matthew Stafford era in Detroit is not going to be viewed, certainly by anybody outside of Detroit, as a success.
Well, you see it every Rams game at 4:00 every week, how they rip on Detroit, how terrible it was, how it was gloomy. He lands in LA and how beautiful it is. But they built the team and landed Matthew Stafford around that. Now, if you see how well LA did with Jared Goff and you upgrade to Matthew Stafford, who is a definite upgrade over Jared Goff, that should be the thing that pushes you over the top. No matter, I think Stafford's a great quarterback. I think he is absolutely great. And I think surrounded by the right people, he can win Super Bowls. But you got Jared Goff who played in a Super Bowl, so he can get you to one too, right? But you need the talent around him. So what you draft, and drafting quarterbacks is so difficult. If you draft a guy that winds up being a cheap version of Jared Goff, which is highly possible, it is absolutely possible, you better have the team around him because you've invested all that capital and you're going to ride that guy for 3 to 5 years. The other side of it is I don't want him to get it wrong this time. I'm in a weird spot, right? I want to win. I'm with you. I want to win. But I'm going to be a little more patient this time, because if we F this up again and we turn this thing into another Quinn or Patricia, or the hope is completely sapped, I don't know that I've got – I don't know that I can do more than 100 losses without picking up on the win side on these post-game shows anymore, because it is wearing hard, man.
I don't even want to look
wearing hard.
Somebody suggested to me that I should go through and find all the weekends where – so I have 3 teams of interest. I have the Browns, the Texans, and the Lions. Find weekends where all 3 of them won. I've been employed covering 2 of those 3 teams since Christmas of 2016.
Yep.
And just off the top of my head, I think there's 2 where all 3 teams have won in 5 years.
Yeah.
I'm ready to win, man. And maybe that
if it doesn't work this time, buddy, it's different. We try to turn this stuff into so many good things with St. Jude and the Fisher House and all the things. Try to because it ain't the football. Right, I mean, it's like what's the joke with the bear, right? You're not here for the hunting, are you? Right? I mean, that's basically what's going on here. You're not here for the football, are you? Right? I mean, come on. So all right, we'll go there. I want to say really quick though. Here's an argument. Riz and I just had an argument. That's the kind of argument you get in Slack. It's literally it is. I'm going to insult your family members and rip you apart. That's the kind of people, if you're looking for that kind of intelligent content, go to patreon.com/Detroit Lions podcast. And that's the kind of dialogue that happens. We can agree to disagree. We'll find the merits of each other's arguments, but we may walk away disagreeing. So that's okay. We had a good
That's okay. Yep. It really is okay. You might find me ripping on certain Detroit radio personalities who have to clearly never watched a damn game of football in their freaking life, and act like they know it all. I don't like those people.
You guest appeared on podcasts of guys who did post-game shows of games they didn't watch too. Let's go on. And shout out to Greg Warren. So let's talk about coaching here.
Oh my God. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, I need to laugh for the coaching. Please.
Let's talk about coaching. Forward. And again, Woodyard. The reason I think about that guy is he stood up for Rothstein so much, and Woodyard's like a freaking 10 million% improvement over Rothstein. Great job over the ESPN. Eric Woodyard is awesome. All right, talk about coaching. Coaching is an interesting concept here, and Well, let's talk about it with the front office. Do you know, there was an interesting point made today that you can't trust this front office or these coaches to create, get the right talent in here. Thus, we need to get rid of all the talent and start over.
Oh, you're doing their bit. The person I was just talking about, you're doing his bit.
I know. Because I know how under your skin it gets. And I wanted to get out of Slack mode quickly.
How can you be on the flagship station of the Lions and never once go to the Lions facility? I live in Zealand and I'm there more than they are. They're right up the freaking street. They have unlimited access and they never go. Why do you trust these people to handle them? Hold them accountable. Demand more, Detroit. Be better fans. Demand more from your flagship station. They're screwing you over. They're stealing your money. Stop it. Stop enabling that BS. Demand better.
So you're saying that the front office should be able to get people and not trade everybody?
If you don't trust the front office, why would you want them to get more chances to pick more players? Like, do you not understand that those two hands don't come together? Like, my God, the density of these people. Have they ever, like, stepped out of a bathtub and like, I'm boggled that people pay attention to this and give them any credibility at all when they're clearly just playing you to get emotional rises out of you. And God damn it, it's working on me now, and that really pisses me off.
I know. It's so great. It is so great. I knew that would wind you up. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that to you, but all right. Now breathe and let's talk about coaching. The coaching staff who has shown capability, clock management, some good calls, so on. This week it was a little bit different. Oh, he's actually going for a walk. This week it was a little bit different.
I'm getting my heart penguin. My mom got me this when I was recovering from open heart surgery to hug when I was stressed. Thanks, Mom.
He's rocking with a stuffed animal. Oh my gosh. All right. So
love you, Mom.
A coaching staff who has made some pretty decent decisions up to now in game and managed the game well, made some decisions that were a bit controversial. Oh God, I want to go back really quick to the quarterback thing before I go to the coaches. We'll do it anyway. The coaches, not go back. Some controversial decisions, some go for it decisions at the Baltimore game. The run plays. My opinion was that the calls themselves were bad. I think running the clock down. I think running run plays were good. I think they were terrible play designs that they called. But
agreed.
Whatever. This game was different. We'd elect to go for it and not kick the field goal. We didn't elect to have a snap intercepted.
You do not kick the field goal in this situation. You need a touchdown. A touchdown is more important than the field goal. You've got the ball at the 12-yard line.
Wait, what point in the game are you talking about?
You're not getting
right?
Yeah,
we were talking about earlier when they were fourth down.
That was bad. I'm certainly not defending the. I thought Dan Campbell had a bad coaching game Sunday.
Yeah.
And so go on. Sorry,
I'm
still fired up, man.
No, that's okay. I'm walking sequentially through the game. So there was a couple times when field goals might have been the better choice. Obviously, there's hindsight. Right. And obviously there's I want more aggressive coaches, darn it. And then they go and get aggressive. And it's like, what the hell are you doing? You got to kick the field goal. I mean, fans are completely bipolar. You can't let that whole kind of conversation run the day because they're always going to be Monday morning quarterbacking it. But there was at least one time in which they should have kicked the field goal. They kick all three and all of a sudden it's a different game towards the end there as well. Go ahead, Riz. Field goal choices.
At the end, they needed to go for the touchdown because the touchdown is more important than the field goal. You've got the ball, I want to say it was the 12 or the 15-yard line, fourth down. If you kick the field goal there, you still got to get the touchdown. If you get the touchdown, then you're a lot more in business. If you kick the field goal, then you got to get defensive stop. You're trying to turn it over to your defense, or you're trying to get an onside kick. We do have one of those. The guy who kicked it was out with COVID, but I digress. The right decision, that's your best chance to get a touchdown. The offense was flowing at that point. You had some things working. Go strike while the iron's hot. If you don't get the touchdown, the field goal doesn't matter at all. Right. I spar with analytical types on that point because you're not seeing the bigger picture. because there's something that has to come after the field goal. Like the other team can go down and kick a field goal, and then you're screwed. Like if you get the touchdown, then they have to go score a touchdown. That changes the dynamic of the other team and what they have to do. So you always go for the touchdown first when you're that close. Now, if you're at the 30-yard line and it's 4th and 8, kick the damn field goal. But that's not where the Lions were. I thought Jared Goff knew that he was going to throw the ball where he did before he even got out of the huddle. And I think his inability to look to his right or look straight ahead and see wide open, uncovered receivers.
You're talking about Cephas, right?
Cephas, and also on the backside of that play, the backside receiver was also uncovered and wide open, because as soon as Jared Goff got the ball, his head snapped to the right. He threw it almost instantaneously. The entire Bears defense went that way too. If he pump fakes, he's got 6 points on the backside to either of the targets that he wants to throw to.
This is where
now he missed Khalif Raymond earlier on that same damn throw, so maybe he doesn't make it. I don't know, but
this is where
they made the right decision. It was a poor play by Goff.
I'm going to disagree, and this is as a result of Ash. Did you see his breakdown? Because it was really, really good.
I did.
Okay,
I did.
So he takes the snap. The first read is Amon-Ra, right? That's the first read. Yeah. He looks over the middle. And Cephas is open, but he hasn't even made his break yet. And Swift completely whiffed his block. And it was instant pressure on Goff. A pump fake is probably out of the question at that point, because then they're on top of him, especially with the Goff small hand fumble. You don't want to do that. So he goes immediately to the first read.
I hate that that's right.
He goes immediately to the first read. The first read was open, but Amon-Ra hosed this. Amon-Ra jogged out of his break. Amon-Ra's the first read. He needed to cut. He rounded his route. He needs to cut and run. That ball was thrown to a place on the field, and Amon-Ra didn't make it to that place because he ran lazy and rounded the route off. That was on Amon-Ra to me 100%. I like St. Brown. I think the guy's got a lot of talent and he could do something. But Goff takes so much. You take the screen snap, right? Look, Cephas is wide open. There's like 4 defenders all rushing between Goff and Cephas, and Goff hadn't made the break. When he makes the break and he actually turns to see the ball, Goff is already on his back. Amon-Ra is the guy. Now, the guy on the backside, I haven't seen that. Admittedly, I haven't seen what was on the backside. But with that kind of pressure, especially with a guy like Goff, right? You know he's going to that first read, and Amon-Ra has to run a good route. He has to run that route right, and that's where that play failed.
I don't disagree that Amon-Ra also played it poorly, but Goff's...
He should have adjusted his throw. Right, I mean, but he's throwing to a point. He's under pressure. He's always scared when he's under pressure.
And again, DeAndre Swift, and I don't think this gets stressed enough because people don't like to hear that the good players didn't play well. He was awful in the second half of that game, and that was part of it. He absolutely matadored in his pass blocking responsibilities. Yeah. If Jamal Williams is in the game there, that doesn't happen. Maybe something happens there.
Kerryon Johnson.
He would have blown out his knee making the block. Sorry, Kerryon. I'm sorry, dude. I like you, but dude gets hurt a lot.
Salute, Wisco. That's for you, buddy.
That's life relying on young players to make key plays, and the Lions turned it over to a couple of young players there, and they didn't deliver. Yeah. Next time, maybe they will. Well, I hope we get a situation where it is like that next time, and I hope that Dan Campbell still goes for it next time.
Yeah. I do too. I liked the call. I liked going for it. I didn't think you kicked there. I just think that they executed poorly. I have a hard time. I didn't ever play wide receiver, so I don't know. I just don't understand. I know you get tired, right, playing a whole game, whatever, and guys take plays off. That's the worst thing you can do as a wide receiver. I don't care if it's a run. I don't care what it is. You cannot take plays off. And it looks like Amon-Ra, as the first read on that play, took that play off. And that, to me, is the kind of stuff that says, I mean, if we had any kind of real talent at wide receiver, he wouldn't. If I was Campbell, he would have just dropped down the depth chart at least for a week. He would have been just punished for that.
Send the message.
That cost us. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh well. All right, that's that. Are you kind of got your heart back?
I'm somewhat better. I tossed my heart penguin away.
Okay, let's look really quick. Any lights at the end of the tunnel? When are we going to start seeing results on this rebuild, Riz?
Next year, look, again, this year for me now completely is not about wins and losses. Yes, I do want to see one win. I do not want to go win. I don't want to go 0-17. I really don't want to go 0-17.
Firsties again.
I want to see that this coaching staff is the right coaching staff. I want to see that a lot of the young players are better from week 1 to week 4, and then from week 4 to week 8, and week 8 to week 12, and week 12 to week 17 or 18, 17 games. I want to see steady improvement in the young players that this team is relying on in the future. Guys like Penei Sewell, DeAndre Swift, Levi Onwuzurike, all the young players in the defense, from Oruwariye to Walker to Jerry to AJ Parker. There's going to be ebbs and flows in the game. They're young players. That's going to happen. They're going to have bad games. I want to see their good games trump over their bad games. And that absolutely can happen. You find guys that way. Maybe they'll find like Jonah Jackson as your left guard. You want that guy to work out long term.
Yeah.
So far, he's had I want to say 7 good quarters out of 16. In the next 16 quarters, I want to see 9. And then after that, I want to see 11.
Yep.
That type of thing. That's where the light comes for me, is that I like this coaching staff's ability, we talked about earlier, to develop the young talent, to understand how to push the buttons on the young players to get them to be more useful as they get older and more time in the NFL. That's my light.
There you go. Okay. I will go back to the one point we made a little bit earlier for those that weren't here for it. Quintricia decimated this team. Had they been here, it would be even worse this year if they were still here, and we would have an even deeper hole. There's a lot to dig out of. We talked about the number. Again, you're talking about 75% of your salary cap is wrapped up in injured
dead
money
cap. And injured guys.
Yeah, right now. So you're playing with 25 to 30% of your salary cap against teams that have 80% or 90%. It's hard to win in the NFL with that and the level of talent that was downgraded at just about every position that they touched. So that's that. The only positions that really, I mean, if you think about it, we were a great growth ground for linebackers for the New England Patriots, but we built a hell of an offensive line, and unfortunately 3 of them are injured right now. So there you go. All right, Riz, take us for a quick jaunt around the division, man. You've been watching a couple of these teams, and then we'll go into Minnesota as we look forward.
Yeah, sure. So Chicago, obviously. So one of the things that was frustrating about last weekend, as improbable as this sounds, had the Lions won that game, they'd be in second place right now, because they would be 1-3. But the Vikings would be 1-3, and the Bears would be 1-3, and the Lions would have the tiebreaker because they have a divisional win, and a divisional road win over the Bears. That didn't happen, obviously. So, the Packers proved that week 1 was their fluke game. They're 3-0 since then and look like the best team in the NFC. I know Arizona's unbeaten. I know they're really good. I'm taking the Packers over them right now as the best team in the NFC. They've figured it out. They're getting healthier. There's a lot of things to like about Green Bay. Unfortunately, that's where we're at.
if you're in Vegas, sure, there's things to like about Green Bay, but otherwise, there's not a lot to like about that team.
I've never actually been to the. I do seriously want to get to Lambeau sometime and like tour it and see it and see like the small town, because I'm originally from the Sandusky, Ohio area, and I've heard that Green Bay is very much like Sandusky, Ohio. It just happens to have a pro football team there, which is wild to me. And that's so I want to see that, but I'm not in this allure mystique of them. But that's a good football team. Minnesota. We'll go to Chicago because Minnesota is this week's opponent.
What do you think? Yeah. What do you think next year? Think about this for real. Just doing a trip, you and me, we'll go up and we'll go see the Lions play in Lambeau, do the whole tour thing. We'll go have just to do it because I want to see it too. I hate the Packers and all the things about them, but absolutely a historic venue. If you're up for it,
I would love to do that. You know, we can take the boat across from Muskegon to Milwaukee. That's like 40 minutes from my house. We can do that. That'd be fun.
Awesome.
I've always wanted to do that. I've always wanted, like, I'm not a motorcycle guy at all. I want to go to the Harley Davidson place in Milwaukee. I think that'd be sweet to go to.
Yeah. You know what? I know somebody that works at Harley. I might be able to get a tour.
Sweet. That'd be cool.
Okay.
Catch a Brewers game, maybe catch a Bucks preseason game or something like that. Yeah, that's fun. So that I would like to do that. So Green Bay is the clear cream of the crop of the NFC North, and they're getting better. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but it is what it is. Chicago, they officially named Justin Fields as the starter indefinitely now. It's about freaking time. I'd like to think that the Lions played some role in that. Their defense got healthy last week because they lost to the Browns 26-6. The Browns could have scored 50 in that game if they wanted to, and they didn't. And the Bears defense impressed me with what they did. I know that Khalif Raymond and Quintez Cephas had good games. I thought that the Bears linebacking core, taking TJ Hawkinson away and devoting themselves to taking him away, was a big step for them because they did not do that against Cleveland. They did not do that in the week before that either. They're getting better. They look like a marginal playoff team in the NFC. Like right now, the four best teams in the NFC, they might all be in the West. Outside of Green Bay. Because like the South, Carolina kind of got exposed the other night. I don't know, man. They've had a really easy schedule. Dallas's offense is great. By the way, hell to the no on Jalen Smith out of Dallas. Dallas fans think of Jalen Smith the exact same way that Lions fans felt about Jelani Tavai. And I don't want any part of that.
Oh, so he's a potential Patriot.
He could be. He just runs a lot faster to miss the play. That's Jalen Smith in a nutshell. Like if you want fun with that, if you really want to know what I'm talking about, follow Marcus Mosher on Twitter, and he breaks down like the 5 worst plays of Jalen Smith in every Cowboys game. He puts video up of them, and it's like, oh my god, like Tavai's better than this dude. So you don't want any part of that in Detroit. No, sorry, no. Pass. Aside from the fact that Taylor Decker is the reason why he got hurt, I don't think that dynamic would go all that well either. I don't think people bring that up enough. I know it might be water under the bridge, but it might not be, and that's just not drama that you need. If you go back to the game where Jalen Smith got hurt, it was because Taylor Decker blocked him and kind of was illegally blocking downfield to do that. And I know Notre Dame fans still aren't over that shit. So
let me ask you though about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You don't believe in them after a loss to the Rams?
I do.
Resident.
They are. Look, they're really good. New England's terrible. That's not a good football team, and they almost lost to them. They have health. They have very serious injury problems of their own, and I think that might be their downfall. Gronk's out for an indefinite amount of time. Dude punctured his lung and broke 4 ribs.
Crazy, right?
That's tough, man. They lost Carlton Davis. They're without 2 other cornerbacks already. If they're healthy, yeah, they absolutely belong up there. But I'm not sure that one of the drawbacks of bringing everybody back is that they're all a year older.
Yeah.
He didn't really replace anybody behind them.
Let me ask you this though.
They're perilous. They're good, and they can't be taken lightly, but they're perilous.
So let me ask you. So don't look. There's only 2 teams in the NFC that have scored more points than the Buccaneers. Who are they?
I know Arizona's one of them because I know that they're leading the league in scoring. Who would be the other one? Dallas, probably.
Yeah. Good. Very good. Yeah. Very good. Dallas by 4 points.
Yeah. Dallas's offense, I'm sold.
Clicking. Freaking Kellen Moore. Yeah, we should have played him. Riz.
No, don't go there. They have a very good offense, and I am very happy to see Dak Prescott in the MVP conversation. I like Dak Prescott a lot. I always have. And their defense is rotten, but their offense is good enough to overcome it.
All right,
I will throw a bone to the Micah Parsons folks. The way they are using Micah Parsons on their defense is effing brilliant. I love using him as your speed edge. It's a great use for him. It's putting him in a position to succeed as a rookie. I love that. I like teams that put their young talents in position to succeed. We talked earlier about how Penei Sewell was put in a position to fail because he spends a year of his life learning right tackle, and then like 2 days before your season starts, oh dude, you're going back to the left. No,
crazy.
So give the Cowboys some credit for using an incredibly athletic person and letting him unleash his athletic freak. I still didn't want any part of him in Detroit, but I appreciate what they're doing with him.
Whew. All right, there you go. Really quick before we get to Minnesota, don't forget stjude.org/DLP. Anything you can donate to help those sick kids, that's awesome. Donate some money. Take a video of yourself getting a pie in the face. Challenge 2 people to do the same. Call them out. Put up in your social media. Hashtag pies4kids4. And we will get you on the show. We'll put your videos up here, the best videos up here. We'll make sure we share your videos as well. Let's raise some money for St. Jude. Let's get that going on. Also, we have our November 5th is our 24-hour podcast. And also on top of that, we have a giant auction with Hawkinson jerseys, a Hawkinson signed football. We've got DeAndre Swift signed jersey and ball already. We've got a week-long stay at a Colorado ski resort for free up for auction during ski season. If you like skiing, you're going to get a hell of a deal there. We got some great stuff coming in for the auction. We're going to do a lot. We're going to try to raise some money for sick kids here. stjude.org/DLP. Let's get that going. Also, Amazon.DetroitLionsPodcast.com. Don't forget about that. Amazon.DetroitLionsPodcast.com. Do something for the podcast by doing something you're going to do anyway. All it does is take money away from Bezos, puts it in our pockets instead of his rockets, and helps us get to the top of the podcast.
I don't like his penis rocket. That needs to go away.
Okay, that's another conversation for off the air. Also, just really quick, hit the like while you're here, if you don't mind. Like and subscribe to the podcast. We appreciate when you guys do that. It helps us. It's
probably down there.
Helps us with the algorithm, and I feel weird doing it, but it's really something that I guess we got to do. It's the YouTube thing. So
yeah, YouTube wants you to like it, so like it.
Yeah, the likes and subscribes actually really, really help. So there you go. All right, let's look at Minnesota. I will say again, this team needs to bounce back. I don't know that they can win. I know they can win. It's possible. It's a small possibility. I don't know that they need to win, but they have to show competent coaching. They have to show competent playing. They have to show pride in the game and in playing the game. They have to bounce back and recover from what was just an absolute debacle in Chicago. Riz, that defense in Minnesota is vicious, and our offensive line is missing the 3 most important people. And before the season, we talked about how poor we were at depth. But let's talk about Matt Nelson. He's not been so bad. I mean, we've had some guys
he's been serviceable.
Big V has been playing pretty good.
He's played okay.
I mean, we'll be okay against this defense, right?
Daniil Hunter is a problem. Yeah, they've again, their sack percentage is 9.8%. That means when the opposing team goes back to pass, they're basically getting a sack 1 out of every 10 times. Now the Lions again are 7th in that stat, and they're at like 8.02%. But the Vikings, they're getting it done. And you're seeing that last year was the anomaly for their defense, and not the years before that where they were pretty good. They are vulnerable, and I saw this in the Cleveland game. This is weird because I watch every Browns game. I wound up doing tape breakdowns of it, and I actually did a tape breakdown of the Browns versus the Vikings. And if you want to get some Vikings insight from that, check that out at Browns Wire. Cheap plug for that. But one of the things that I saw, they're very vulnerable down the middle of the field. Their linebackers don't get a lot of depth in their drops. Their safeties, Harrison Smith winds up playing outside a lot, and their other safeties don't roam the middle of the field very well. So Hawkinson could be in line for a big game this week. You could see Amon-Ra get a lot of catches in that 8 to 12 yard range over the middle. That's going to be open for them. Throwing the ball outside will work. One of the things you got to do, and this is the Swift fans are going to like this. This is a Jamal Williams week because you've got to hit them fast. You've got to run downhill. If you run sideways, you run laterally against Minnesota, they're going to wipe your ass out. If you attack them, you can beat them.
Yeah.
And Williams is better at that than Swift. I saw last week, the week before, Chicago, Kareem Hunt was the better option for Cleveland than Nick Chubb was, just because of running style. And that's why I thought DeAndre Swift would have a good week, because he's more like Kareem Hunt than he is Nick Chubb. Well, it didn't work out that way, and it turned out that Jamal Williams actually had a pretty darn good game. This game shapes up to being a Jamal favorable game for his running style. Now, I don't know if the blocking is going to make that happen or not, and I do expect DeAndre to bounce back, but they're somewhat vulnerable. The issue that we're going to have in this game, they run 3 wide receivers a lot more than they ever have in Minnesota. You always know them as a team that runs a lot of 2 tight ends, or they use Darvin Ham as their fullback, and they have Dalvin Cook out of the backfield. Mm-hmm. They're playing KJ Osborne as their number 3 wide receiver a lot, and he's good. Justin Jefferson is really good. Adam Thielen, noted Lions killer, really good. I don't know if we have 3 NFL caliber cornerbacks on our roster right now. At least not right at this present.
Not healthy.
These guys might get better in time. But right now, it's rough.
It's a great chance to get better.
It is. It's an opportunity for guys like AJ Parker to prove themselves. It's a chance for a guy like Jerry to get an interception, because Kirk Cousins will hang them up, especially if you get some pressure on him. But this is a teams that can run 3 or 4 wides at you and protect their quarterback are going to be a problem for Detroit. Cincinnati can do that. Minnesota can kind of do that. Their offensive line isn't very good yet, but it's better than it has been. So this is not a great matchup. And then you have the fact that Dalvin Cook had a rotten week against Cleveland. He's due to bounce back. He's too talented to keep down like that. I'm very worried about what Dalvin Cook is going to do this defense.
Here's my biggest. This may actually, I hate to say this, okay, but this may solve a whole lot of things for us. This defensive line is so good. You have a guy in Goff.
It can be.
I'm talking about the Minnesota defensive line.
So
they're so good. And in Jared Goff, you got a guy who does not like pressure and makes quick throws. We don't have a lot of talent to throw deep. So they just have to keep us covered, keep Hawk covered, and that's really where their concentration has to be in Amon-Ra, right? And then all of a sudden they come after us, right? They can send the rest of the defense basically after Goff, because he has to make a quick decision and he doesn't have open short guys. I see a lot of checkdowns out of him, but the real thing is, and I hate to say this, right? And I'm not wishing this on anybody, but as good as that defensive line is and as decimated as our offensive line is, there could be a situation where this whole should we draft a quarterback and should Goff play gets solved by the Minnesota defense this
I love
week.
that you're Mr. Brightside here.
No. No. I mean, I'm just talking that we won't see a whole lot of Goff after this week, because they're just going to be all over him.
We're adding to our injured money list.
Yes.
Oh, correct.
Because the offset between the capabilities of their defense and our offensive line, their defensive line and our offensive line, is so great that Goff is going to be in deep trouble.
Who's our practice squad quarterback?
Blau.
What's his name?
Blau.
We have David Blau, but no, there's a guy in the practice squad. Stephen Montez.
Yeah, you want to put Montez up there as a sacrificial lamb?
maybe you call him up and activate him for this game, just as a precautionary measure. I don't know.
I'm not saying I want it. I'm not saying I wish it, but I look at the disparity in talent between our just decimated offensive line and the strength of their defensive line and their pass rush. If you thought Baltimore was good, imagine Baltimore now against our offensive line. They would destroy us. They would absolutely destroy us. They would be all over Goff. That's what I expect to see. And it's going to be really bad.
Not to get all preemptive on your awesome Friday show that you do with Tony Ortiz, but this is the first game this year where I have absolutely no confidence whatsoever that the Lions can win this game.
Yep.
I really don't.
Yep.
That this is a game where I will be using the Minnesota Vikings as my Survivor fantasy pick. And I am still alive. Yeah. I was smart enough to choose the Colts last week.
You're not doing so great in Pick'em, just so you know.
Oh God, no, I'm not. No,
you're looking like the Lions roster for injuries. Okay. So that's where we're at. This is going to be tough game. Hopefully, we come out of it healthy and we can continue to get healthier and see some of those wins. It just doesn't feel like it this week. And by the way, Tony really, really misses you, man. He really would love to see you.
I love Tony. I miss being on, but it's at a time where, as you know, dad duty calls, man.
Yeah, due day. So I'm going to be in there. We're going to do another. I don't know if you heard this. Miller's is being sold.
I did see that.
That's really depressing to me. But institution in Dearborn. So maybe I'll get to town here. I'm thinking October or later November, mid-November. Maybe we can get together, get the three of us together, go grab our last little Miller's.
That would be fun. Again, that was a great afternoon.
It really was. It really was. All right. With that, we want to thank everybody. Head over to Patreon, patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. Get access to the Slack chat. It is the most intelligent Lions chat on the internet. Patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. As little as $1 a month donated will get you there. And I'm telling you, you'll really, really love it. It's worth it. Go to stjude.org/DLP. Donate. Help sick kids. We're trying to raise money and help some families. Christmas for the Kids, 3rd annual. Got a lot going on with that. And the pies, you got to get the pies. Get the pies going. Challenge some friends and have some fun. Also, follow us on Twitter at DET Lions Podcast, DET Lions Podcast, and at Jeff Risdon, as you see spelled there. 2 of the best Twitter followers on the internet, if I do say so myself. Give us a call via Skype at Detroit Lions Podcast, all one word, Detroit Lions Podcast, or call us on the Lions line at 929-33-LIONS. It's 929-335-4667. And be sure to go to DetroitLionsPodcast.com, subscribe to the show so we can
come into your ear holes automatically.
Thank you for tuning in. We're going to see you next time on the Detroit Lions Podcast. Remember, no pants, no toasters, no hot tubs. No problems, baby, because we're your Detroit Lions and Reddit connection.